Well, hello on a Friday, a very snowy Friday
Yep.
after Thanksgiving.
Snowy for us.
Very snowy for us. We got 2 feet of snow. And the kids got an extra day off from Thanksgiving break.
That was lots of fun.
So they've been bouncing off the walls and each other and the dog and the cats and all that fun stuff.
There are cats everywhere. There's a cat behind him and a cat on him.
It's true. And there's a third Finny's in here somewhere.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't want her on me. I'm wearing leggings.
Oh, sorry. Did she get you?
Yes! Hello. I don't know. What should we talk about?
Well, I don't know. It's the day after Thanksgiving, and it's Black Friday, which means people are out buying. But I read a thing was that Black Friday deals are usually the things that they have on sale are actually cheaper or lesser versions of the thing you actually want.
Really?
Yeah, it's like you'll get them and
Get her off of me, please.
you'll get them like the TVs that they're selling will have fewer ports, or they'll have
Really?
yeah, something like that. I mean, we don't pay attention to Black Friday
No,
anyway, but
I have other things to do like sleep.
yeah, it's true. It's true. Sleeping's important. Anyway, so here we are, Friday. We've got questions. Hopefully, we have answers for those questions.
Okay. From Andy Hurwitz, did Seiko ever make a Bakelite bezel insert for any vintage divers?
Oh, that was actually the reason.
Sorry, the heater's on. It's cold.
That was actually the reason. Thank you, Andy. I was like, I grabbed this watch and I was looking at this watch. Oh, speaking of that, wrist check.
All right.
Well, okay, let's see what you got.
Okay. So what do I have?
Oh, it's your little silver wave quartz. Nice. I still need to service that watch. Didn't you have some time loss on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I haven't rebuilt it yet. It's totally original. It's a neat watch. It's nice because it's a good size and it's so legible.
Yep.
Very cool. And I am also, coincidentally also wearing the quartz today because I've been going through and looking at my quartz watches and dealing with daylight savings. So we have this is my 7549 7009 golden. I got this from Larry Boulinet a very long time ago. I think the first watch I ever bought from him. It's a great watch. I really like it. I don't wear it as often as I should. It's a great watch. I can't ever sell this one because Sadie loves it. Cool. Anyway, that's what we're up to. Anyway, but I forgot during that wrist check thing, the reason I grabbed this watch is because this watch, when I read your question, I was like, no, I don't think that's not really a Seiko thing. But they did actually. They've done a few like clear things, like the 55 Fathoms watch has it. But this one, I mean, it has this sort of the everything is clear on the top and all the printing is underneath, and that's kind of how a Bakelite works. This isn't like Bakelite though; it's plastic, but they did that. I think specifically because of the depth rating, 600 meters, but it's not something they did often. But they certainly did do it. So it was great because I had to it was a good question because I had to sort of really think about it. I should have a more comprehensive answer, but that's why I chose my watch today.
You just elbowed Fat Man.
More cats.
See, here's another cat.
Oh no.
There he is.
He's fat and fuzzy.
Yep. He's ready for winter.
Mm-hmm.
From Steven. I'd choose tail over brains too. We're talking about Finny.
Talking about Finny, who's in here somewhere, being an idiot.
What do you think of Hamilton Electric? I think early 70s it was solid 14K, what?
14 karat gold? 14 karat yellow gold.
Oh, how durable? Repairable? What would be a good price? It would be a first vintage piece. Thanks, love your channel.
Those Hamilton Electrics, they are extraordinarily expensive for what they are. Well, first you've got the yellow gold thing, and that's going to throw the price way off, but all those Hamiltons, for some reason, all the vintage Hamiltons from like the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, they have a pretty strong collector base. And so like, even like little automatic dress watches from Hamilton go for real money. The problem with all of that era of movement, right around the Quartz revolution is that there were a lot of experimental movements out. There were a lot of like stuff where the parts simply are not made anymore. Like Omega did a lot of the F300 tuning fork movements designed by the same guy who designed them for Bulova originally, and so close in fact that they had to license the design from Bulova, even though the guy designed it fresh for Omega. But even though it's like you can't get parts for them at all, and they were a high-end, serious watch. Biggest thing then I would look for is originality and make sure that it's truly, truly running right.
From Pre-Yen Mystery, Spencer, how about a Grand Seiko Diver SBGA 031?
Oh, they're talking about people trying to help me find my ideal watch.
Oh.
I like them. The issue that I have with these Seikos, especially the Grand Seiko Divers, is they're gigantic. I'm looking for like 39 millimeters, like 41 millimeters, and so that's the real sweet spot that I'm looking in. And I don't believe Seiko makes any modern like sport dress dive watches in the Grand Seiko line that are that, relatively speaking, small.
From Go Aztecs.
Hi.
Thanks for the tip on leaving a watch in water to leach out salt water. I've never heard of that, but it makes perfect sense. Hope you and the family have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You know, it's in the guide that you get with your dive watches. It has a picture of a watch in a glass of water. And the only reason I first knew about it is when we went to California. When we went to San Diego, I happened to read that in the instructions, and I was like, and I actually took my watch, my SRP 775, into the water, and I did that. I cleaned it off that. So far, so good.
From Julie Hill, gone a bit crazy recently. A couple of vintage pieces purchased as a sort of early Christmas treat. Picked up a really nice example of a fully serviced 6306 7001 from January 1979. This watch is all original, lovely, nicely aged patina and in super condition, and barrel arbor bushing replaced with jewels. What are you doing?
Getting this out of Kraken's way so she can go to sleep.
This thing is running within 2 seconds a day. It's purring like you. Spencer, I find it really odd that this rare Japanese turtle model seems to go below the radar in comparison to the other turtle models. The price was just great. As they say, I'm getting plenty of smiles per miles. Seiko goodness. What's worse than water? Salt water. The only thing salt water is good for is sea creatures to live in and mouth ulcers.
Oh, well, salt water is also good for removing poison ivy. Well, it's true. It's true. It worked when I was a kid. I mean, there aren't many like home tips that work, but that one worked. You know, the 6306 divers, the turtle divers, before the reissues, the SRPs came out, those things, they were the hot ticket. And everybody would everybody could get a 6309 because they were inexpensive at the time and plentiful. And the 6306s, that was when, you know, the more high-end collectors went for those. But then, when the SRPs came out, and everybody was saying, oh, there were a reissue of the 6309, people kind of forgot about the 6306s. I mean, people still want them, collectors still want them, but I don't get inquiries for 6306s ever, really, anymore. But 6309s, oh my gosh, a lot. So it's a matter of what people know. But weirdly, the prices for 6306s have gone way up. I sold my last one to Brian Sindler, and a beautiful one, Silver Surfer. And I've made him promise that if he ever sells it, he'll come back here. But I don't anticipate he'll ever do that. I'd like to add one, but they've really rocketed up in asking price. Not necessarily getting price, but asking price.
From F. Sohail. Great show, guys, on form. Have to second that recommendation for the triple date Omega Mk40, reference 3250.50. I picked one up after shopping around after deciding a moon watch was just too big for me. If you like to wear the wear of a 5-digit sub, this one is one to look at 39 millimeters.
I keep looking at it, and the more I look at it, the more I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So I'm starting to think about them, which is a problem. I'm going to try not to think about them, but I think it might be the answer.
It's Christmas time.
I'm not going anywhere near buying anything for myself. That's not happening.
Oh, really?
What? Oh, I had to get a new laptop. But you see, there's a dual purpose. Sadie's computer is dead.
Yes.
She can get my old computer. I only need an internet machine. I don't need a gaming machine. I haven't played games in 2 years. She does play games. She will make use of it.
Okay.
It all works out.
Anyway.
We can deduct it.
Okay.
But at some point down the line, yeah, Mark 40. I think that was one because it has all the things that I kind of dig. The only thing I'm concerned with is the height, because Valju 7750 movements tend to be pretty high stack height. I was wishing it was a little slimmer, but I like the 39 millimeters. It's got the triple day complication. It's a chronograph. It's a watch. It's automatic winding. It's all the things I like. Very classic design. It's one of the things about my moon watch that I'm always kind of iffy about because it's manual wind only. And so the watch doesn't feel quite as alive to me.
From RG, what do you think of the poor man's Flightmaster SNA 044? It looks pretty similar to the one in your custody until February.
Yeah, they're okay. I don't really... Quartz chronographs kind of don't warm my heart too much. Also, the handset is like too blobby and shiny. I don't really like it. Also, lastly, is that somebody, a big personality in the watch world, loves them. And this particular guy's... I don't know. His taste and my taste diverge wildly, and so I'm not really. It kind of made them less interesting to me. I almost picked one up once, but in fact, I think I did own one a long, long time ago. I think I sold it almost immediately.
I don't know.
It's another slide rule chronograph, but it's a quartz movement. They're just, I don't know. They're okay.
The children are fighting. I heard Willow scream, "Give me it!" From Randy Allen. My vote for a new watch for you is an Omega Speedmaster Racing reference 329.30.44.51.01.002. This is the new 2-register racing featuring all the advanced tech of the Cal 9900 with the ability of tracking a second time zone on the 3 o'clock register besides the regular chronograph functions. Meta's certified master chronometer. I may end up with one myself. Happy Thanksgiving.
I can't even, I'll have to look that up. I don't know what that looks like. That's pretty wacky. I like the idea of the second time zone. That's pretty cool. I will look those up. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate it.
From Neil Sengupta. Hi, Sabrina and Spencer. Saturday morning, watching you guys is the best. Really enjoying the show. Just a couple of questions, please. 1, what is your opinion on the 7T30 quartz chronograph? Just bought one from TVS, which has not arrived yet, but has a snow white dial and is my first ever chronograph. 2, you seem to recommend eBay a lot for vintage Seiko, but I don't trust it over here in the UK for vintage divers. How do I get about getting a good example of an old school diver? Thanks for your show and look forward to owning one of your t-shirts.
We're still fighting.
We're still working on that.
We're still working on that. The 7T32 chronographs, they're a ubiquitous quartz movement. Seiko made 1 billion of them, a whole bunch of different versions of them. I mean, they have great complications. I don't know how long-lived they are, because Seiko worked out that you don't need, unlike the 7A series movements from the beginning, when they're the world's first quartz chronograph, analog quartz chronograph, which was all metal and fully jeweled. Seiko realized we don't have to do that, and because it's an unstressed train, they can make everything out of plastic, and they're almost fully plastic. I think they might have a few jeweled things. I'm not really sure. But, so they tend to not be as durable. But, I mean, they certainly do the job. I've certainly owned a few. The great thing is that finding parts for them probably should not be hard for a long time, simply because there's so many of them that were made that are on eBay. You could always get a second one. As for finding old school divers and things like that.
You don't like buying things from the UK.
I don't. Well, I have not because there's anything wrong with the UK. It's just that there's a lot of there are unscrupulous individuals in the United Kingdom who buy a lot of junk watches that originated in areas where they were badly abused, Southeast Asia, and then they pass them off as having been UK watches, and then they're just kind of beat up and gnarly. And so, I mean, I broke my rule when I got the Brad Pitt watch for her, because it was a decent price and it looked like it was okay, and it was a disaster inside. If you Google my name and Worn and Wound, Spencer Klein Worn and Wound, there's a really old interview with me. But in that interview, I break down my basic rules for buying on eBay, and if you adhere to them, you should still do pretty well. I still do pretty well using those rules, and they still apply today.
From Tom Hilditch. Regarding the True Pogue, what about the French date?
Oh, this was on a video about a True Pogue, and it had a French-English day wheel. The thing with the North American models of any of these things, like a 6005 or a 6009 or one of the jumbos, 6138 3009, is they will tend to, in my experience, almost always have Spanish English. Sometimes they have English French. Milo, what are you doing, you idiot cat? Bunk. I would assume that Pogues was going to have Spanish English, simply because he bought his in America, in Texas. So it's, it's possible that it was French English. There's nothing to rule it out. I don't know what the second language was, but French English is not a disqualifier for me for a True Pogue, because they would have come into North America with that choice.
From John Boy of Alaska. Thanks for the great vids, Spencer and Sabrina. I was wondering if I could put a shout out here for the watch crystal I'm looking for. Seems it is hard to find H5575080. Looks like they made it for a single year, 1984. Catalog reference JZW994 for what it's worth. It is Seiko Crystal SA3WOOGNOO. So if anyone out there has one, let me know. I want to get my old high school grad watch looking like new again.
Yeah, this is the thing. I've had John's watch here for a good amount of time because of the work ahead of it. But I would have been done with it already, except I can't find the crystal. I have one source that might have them, but they're surprisingly hard crystal to find. One of my main suppliers says that they are, I think they're still back ordered on it, but they've been back ordered for like a year on finding this. Sometimes they'll come through and they can get their hands on it, but this is a tough one. So that crystal is, again, SA3W00GN00. If anybody has one, please contact me and let me know, because I'm having trouble coming up with that one for him. And that would be nice, because the rest of the watch of itself can be done easily. The crystal is the issue right now.
From RG, hi SNS, another question for this Friday. If for the next 10 years you could own only 3 watches in each category, diver, chronograph, other, which ones would you have?
I'll go first, I guess.
Oh, I have to go?
You don't have to. You don't have to do anything. Okay. Dress watch, if I had to choose out of my existing watches, would be my Uncle Dick's Rolex Explorer. Diver. That's gonna be real tough. Only one diver to wear and love. I hate to say it, it might actually be a sub. It might be a Rolex. I don't know. There's other ones. I would say my 6159, but I don't really wear that because it's an investment piece. But the nice thing about a sub is it's replaceable. I don't know. There's also my GMT root beer, which I have been wearing a lot recently. It's just a beautiful watch. If you limit me to Seiko, it's probably going to be... Oh, you know what I'd do? I would keep my... Where is it? Where did I put it?
I don't know.
Did I drop it?
There's one next to me.
Is there? Ah. My custom built auto tuna. My 61, it's 754970. 10 of that, it should be quartz, but isn't because I rebuilt it and made it automatic. There you go. I have to hedge my bets a little bit. Chronograph. Boy, that's going to be real tough. That's also going to be hard to deal with. You know, there's only one choice. Is I would have to keep my Lejour, my poor man's Hoyer. I do love that watch. It's great. But I have a few, because I was wearing that when my father passed away. But I mean, all things being equal, maybe my Omega Mk40? Problem with Seiko chronographs, I love them, but I worry about them all the time because of the chronograph wheel. Because if that fails, we're screwed. So I always hesitate a little bit with that, and I don't wear them very often as a result. So I'm sorry. It looks like it might be Swiss.
Okay, I can go. I thought about it.
You did?
Diver would be my sub. Mm-hmm. Chronograph would be the Rima, because I like it.
The Rima's a really nice watch.
And other would be the 6105.
Oh, the one that I built for you?
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest 6105 movements I ever built. It still is awesome. I mean, I went through and serviced it for you, I don't know, 6 months ago, and it runs like a dream. Whoa, that watch runs great. Fully jeweled. Everything is jeweled. Mainspring arbor, top and bottom. It had a new mainspring I put into it, I believe.
What is it?
It's a 6105 6000 dress watch. It came to us in the same lot that had that 7005 8030 Mac V SOG watch, but I didn't know what it was at the time. And it came in that lot of watches. Boy, you don't see lots like that anymore. Ooh, it was all 60s Seikos. Wow.
I'll wear it next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's ready to be worn.
I know. From Ella Bay Forever. Hi, Sabrina and Spencer. I recently saw a video where you talked about leaving the chronograph function running on a chronograph to save the clutch on the mechanism. Perhaps you could talk about this next time, as it sounded like a practical and sensible thing to do. I own a watch with a Seiko Mecha quartz movement. Would you recommend doing the same thing with this type of movement? Cheers, Russ from Australia.
The second answer first. No, quartz is totally different piece of business. There is no clutch. It doesn't. They run or they don't. They're like a light bulb, and so they're an unstressed train. It doesn't really matter. With the 6138 and 6139 chronographs, not counting the same design which was used by Dyne because their design is stronger. More and more as time goes by, I do think it's better to have the whole thing running, because if the whole thing is running, the watch, that critical part, the clutch is not being compressed, and also the entire chronograph wheel is turning, and it's turning in jewels top and bottom. But I often don't keep mine running. I think the biggest danger to them is moving between the two states, and also hard resets from down at the bottom of the dial. You want to do as light a reset as you possibly can, resetting when the hand is right up at the top. They fail because inside the clutch they have a little clutch spring, and Dyne has like 6 fingers, like it's a burly setup. The Suo ones are only like connected here and here, in like 2 circles that are connected on either side, and they get weak, and then the plates don't contact each. Bless you.
Cat sneezed.
And the plates don't connect anymore, and then the part is dead. I don't know, man. It's tough. I still back the idea of keeping the chronograph running, but full disclosure, I don't often do it myself. But if I'm storing the watch, if I have a 6138 or 6139 sitting in the box, I'm not wearing it, I have that chronograph engaged so that the stress is not on the clutch spring.
From Last Nine Breaker. Is a jeweled barrel just as effective as a jeweled arbors? Why would someone choose to jewel a barrel instead of the arbors in the first place?
Because I don't know, it's interesting. I actually just saw a jeweled arbor. You get them on like the 5200 series, Dyne chronograph, chronometer grade watches, and they it's not a bad idea. I mean, in fact, it would be fantastic if you jeweled the arbors and the barrel. Boy, if you did that, it'd be kick-ass. That'd be awesome. I think the arbors are more. I think the arbors are more important. I think so, if I had to choose. Because the problem is if the arbor wears, then the whole barrel starts to tip. And then you start getting all kinds of problems going on. Those things, that lower one really should be arbored, should have bejeweled. But yeah, man, if you could do it where the mainspring arbor, top and bottom was jeweled, and the barrel was jeweled, that'd be awesome. Because then you'd cure basically every problem that thing had. Nuts.
That's it. We didn't have a lot of questions this week.
No, we did okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. No big deal. Cold. More snow coming. More snow coming.
What?
Oh, just thinking about Sean.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, because it's almost 3 o'clock in Texas, which is when he crashed.
Oh.
Anyway, I made a video about Sean. So, again, for the regular viewers, if you feel like hearing a tribute to somebody you're not necessarily familiar with, feel free to look at that video, or not. But in any case, that's really about it. And we're on to the weekend. I don't anticipate any MG work this weekend. Frankly, it's just too cold. So I'll do some other stuff. And we'll see how we're going. And we'll rock into the next week. And that's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.